You're listening to the Courtyard Clubcall by the Scarf Bergara War, part of the Talksport fan network. By county fans, for county fans.
Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to, the final Courtyard Club Call of the regular season, which is brought to you by the Scarf Bergara War team in association with Edgeley Con Club Coaches. Rest assured, we will be back to cover the playoffs, and I bloody cannot wait. Before we get into it, the whys and wherefores of yet another county comeback win, I am taking full responsibility for the outcome of that game. Forget penalties being saved and scored. Forget a 19-year-old striker turning into prime Shearer, and forget 20-yard screamers. No, the real reason that we won that game was down to my lucky bobble hat, which I am wearing at this minute. It's bloody boiling in my study, but I'm wearing it anyway. It's seen 2 lots of 45 minutes in the last 2 games, 6 goals, none conceded. And I'm telling you, if we get a heat wave over the next few weeks, this hat is absolutely going to be with me. And if needed, it's being worn. Okay. So for the audio listeners, we have 4 of us tonight. We have got Dan Culverwell, we have got Steve Bardsley, and Dave Whitehead. Thank you for joining me, guys. I can't wait to get into this game because it was a bloody good game, wasn't it? So, Dan, there were 3 changes from the previous team. Connolly in for Horsfall, Fevs in for Noyle, and Tanto in for Benno. Are you saying, you were there, I was there, Dave was there, Steve watched it on TV, are you saying it was a back 5, or do we think it was a back 4? Because I'm still not quite sure.
I think to start off with, it was definitely a back 3, back 5. What confused us, I think, to start the game off, Connolly started in the centre with the 3 of Ethan Pye and Hills. And then after sort of like 5-10 minutes, Hills then went into the centre with Connolly being the right centre back. And that sort of, I think, really chucked us, or sort of spanner in the works for us, sort of trying to guess what the formation was. But yeah, it was definitely a 3 or 5 at the back. It was more 5 at times because, like you say, with Torre and Fevs playing the wing-back roles, but they were very much not getting into the opposition half at all.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, you watched it on TV. How did you feel it sort of played out in the first sort of part of that half? As Dan says, Fevs was playing wing-back, and I've said on this podcast, don't think he can do it. It's not his game.
Yeah, I mean, like you, I struggled to understand what the formation was. I couldn't work out whether it's a 4 or 5, to be honest. It doesn't help when watching on the TV. You don't get that full perspective of the pitch. But I actually thought for the first 20 minutes, or first 10 minutes, I thought we were really positive the way we were playing. I thought we came out, we had a lot of the ball. We looked like we were building the play nicely. And it was a good start for me. I thought it did well.
Dave, I felt Wycombe came out as if it was a pre-season friendly. They didn't seem to have any intensity from, and bearing in mind, Dave has said that Wycombe are Dave Challoner, not Dave Whitehead. Dave has said that Wycombe
same
are
person, mate.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, he's come out and said that they're a pressing team. I didn't see that at all in that first half.
I think the formation was transitional. If you kind of looked, he was expecting Fevs to bomb on, and it transitioned into a 4 when we had the ball. And as soon as he lost it, he come back. But the problem with playing Fevs at the right wing back is it's a different mentality of him just bombing forward, and he has got it in his locker, but just not as good. I mean, if you're expecting sort of a last ditch tackle, you wanting Noyle or Maka there. Not Fevs. He's not going to be that guy to meet you that last ditch like goal saving tackle. But going forward, he'll produce moments of magic and put balls in boxes and score goals, which is what he's there to do. So I'm kind of more geared towards the fact that I'd rather like him playing a bit further forward. But I think in the first half, it was kind of like they were both just cancelling each other out for about the first 15-20 minutes. And I think they were both more content just to sort of keep it at 0-0 until they scored. And then it all broke loose after that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And Dave actually did mention that, didn't he? And then he sort of backtracked a little bit on his post-match. He said, oh, yeah, if we'd had a chat with Wycombe before the game started and just like both settled on
Yeah.
0-0. In fairness, it would have suited them, but then he sort of backtracked on it. I mean, I'm struggling at the moment with Toure, and he has had quite an up and down sort of time with the club in the 2.5 years that he's been with us. I think he's regressing a little bit, certainly over the last few games, and their number 44, I can't remember what his name was, but he absolutely had him on toast. And we'd already been warned once when Toure had been beaten on that side before they scored their goal. And when they scored the goal, it wasn't a great goal to sort of concede, was it, Dan? It was quite sloppy, the marking.
Was Fevs pushed or did he slip? Was the big question with their goal. I thought he looked like he'd been pushed or had hands on his shoulders, and it should have been a foul. But more watch it on the highlights, it looks like his feet have just gone away from underneath him.
It looked like a slip to me watching it on the TV.
Yeah. What was the comms like, Steve? Because we were talking about it before, but JK wasn't on, was he? So it was Liam and Sam. Did they do themselves proud?
They were good, apart from when we went 1-0 down and the penalty, and it went very, very negative, very negative. And I'm watching thinking
against the team, like how
not having to go at the team or anything like that, but just kind of, I don't know. There was just a lack of positivity. I didn't hear it, and I was sat at home just saying, we're still in this. Even before the penalty was saved, I thought we're still in this. Nothing to worry about. But it went really negative. But yeah,
they were probably upset at the thought of having to travel to Charlton on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's probably what they were like. Oh no, not again.
But that penalty came sort of like they had sort of like a 5-minute spell, didn't they, Wycombe, where Corey pulled off a really good save. They had a corner. Same again. I just did a little bit of pressure building up from them, weren't they? And that, I don't think it was a penalty. I've seen it a few times. I didn't think it was a penalty, but yeah, they stopped building up steam, weren't they, before getting up to that penalty.
The thing is, with the penalty though, Moxon had his hand up. If Moxon's hand isn't up there, then he doesn't give the referee a decision to make.
Yeah.
So whether it's the wrong decision or the right decision, don't put your hand up there in the box. You're giving the referee a chance to give you a penalty, and well, he duly obliged, didn't he?
It was a similar situation to Toure, although I thought Toure's was very much far more unlucky. But I think if you're beaten in the air like that and then you sort of flail your arms up in the air, Toure did it, Moxon's done it. You're right. It does give the keeper a decision to make. Let's just rewind and sort of just sort of box off that first half. So we didn't play well again, and I'm going to ask you a question, Steve. So we've had so the last 5 games we've had to come back from losing positions. We drew 1 and we've won 4. Okay. Now, do we think, Steve, that Dave is getting that starting team, that starting 11 or the tactics, whatever it might be, wrong? But because we've got such options on the bench and because he is good at making those in-game switches, we're getting ourselves out of it. Or my other question, or do we think that he's setting this up to almost, I don't know, sort of like tire, it sounds ridiculous, but tire the opposition out with how we play that first half. And then when they're knackered in the second half, we seem to get this extra gear and we can hit them.
I'm not so sure. I think for me, the last game, I felt he got the starting lineup wrong. That was my view. But when this starting lineup came out yesterday, I didn't look at it and think, this isn't the right starting lineup. I thought he got it more or less right based on what resources were available. And I think I know what you're saying about the kind of substitutions, but February was already on the pitch, wasn't he? And he's that impact player. We'll come on to Benno in a bit, but I think he's going out with the best intentions, just to go out from the beginning with his best 11 to win the game. I don't read anything else into it other than that. And I think that first half, like I said earlier, I thought we started well. We had some good play. We had chances. And it was a bit of a scrappy goal we gave away, wasn't it? Take that goal out of the equation. And then what's wrong with that first half? Not an awful lot.
If you look at the stats, actually, the stats sort of tell you that tale as
Yeah.
well. We that drum that I'm always banging that 7 shots and not a single one on target. But every stat that you look at really for that first half, we were just a superior team. They've had 2 shots, 1 on target, and scored 1 goal. And we've had more possession. They look like the away team, and like you said, Jimmy, that it was a bit weird because they come out with like that there was nothing to play for. They all come out with their kids. They're all smiles like it was an end of season dead rubber with nothing to play for. Really, the look of them, and the noise that was being made was all by county fans. We were creating the atmosphere in the stadium, and a bit of a weird one.
It was a strange atmosphere in the stadium from the home fans because, obviously it's a lovely day. Everyone got their T-shirts on and having beers and all that sort of stuff. That's why I alluded to this pre-season friendly thing. And I've got a friend or a guy I used to work with who I met up with after the game who's a Wycombe season ticket holder. And he was saying that they were supposed to have a parade around the pitch at the end of the game, like you do on your final home game, obviously, of the season. But 80% of the crowd had disappeared. It was
poor show, that.
Really poor. But they didn't see. I know it sounds, maybe it's unfair, but they didn't seem like when you go to county, you can feel this sort of really sort of almost like football obsessed people watching the game. They almost felt like they were there for a little part in the park type thing, or I don't know. It didn't feel like they were there to get behind their team at a football match. They were just there just to watch some people kick a ball around. I don't know what you thought. There was no atmosphere whatsoever from what I.
It was silent. It was completely silent. They only started making a bit of noise once they scored.
But they didn't even do that, and that was
even that it wasn't that much. Yeah,
no, exactly, and that was the irony because when we scored, we started chanting, "You're not singing anymore," sort of thing. And I was thinking,
there wasn't to start with.
Yeah, they weren't singing when they were winning. What's the point of that?
We made more noise when Corey saved the penalty than what they did when they scored.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So first up,
one other thing on that, Jimmy. Do we know why they rested Kone? Because he didn't play, did he? Was he rested? Was he injured?
I've not heard anything. I just know that Dave said they rested 3 of their key players. So, but again, they've lost 3 games now, Wycombe, on the spin. And I know we talked about this in the last Courtyard Club call, Steve, and you were like, "I'm not too bothered if we lose this game, not too bothered about the momentum." And you said that we've never lost 2 games on the spin, so maybe we lose this one and then we win the next. But yeah, there was something not quite right with that Wycombe team, and I wouldn't be surprised if Charlton beat them over 2 legs. Okay, so first half, not great. Substitutions, Dan, half time. What did we go for? We went for Noyle on for Connolly and Rydell on for Torre. And immediately Rydell was far more, well, both of them were actually. If you looked at how we started playing in that second half, we were doing what we did against Lincoln. We had the 2 centre-backs and then Norwood being the quarterback, picking the ball up off them, making sort of a back 3 if he absolutely had to. But generally speaking, we had lots of possession anyway. And those 2 fullbacks were well up the pitch. And I like that.
Plus, it took the leash off Fevs. It meant that Fevs was 10, 15 yards further up the pitch and he was getting involved and making things happen. And that was for me. Like I said, we had to get at halftime. For me, Fevs was the sort of like the key to unlock them, and we had to get him involved in the game. And by them sort of little tactical changes, sort of for me, got him into that game, got him into that position that we saw against Lincoln and picking up the balls in them dangerous areas.
Yeah, it's all about taking the shackles off him, isn't it? Like both you, Dan, and Dave have said. Okay, so the next big thing was sort of touched on it anyway about the handball from Moxon, and Did we think Corey was going to save that penalty? Go on, Steve. Were you confident?
Strangely, I was. It's all right me saying that now, but I don't know. He just looks so big in that goal, and it was quite weird because he was stood like about a foot behind the line, which I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that before. And he just looked massive, and I thought he's got a chance here. And it was, it was hit to the right place for him to save it, but it was a cracking save, and he held on to it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, they say, like you said, he stands like a foot and a half behind the line, doesn't he? So when he comes forward, he's all in, I suppose, in the action.
Yeah, you get more spring in your step to go which way you choose.
But I'd love him to do the old Bruce Grobbelaar knobbly knees. I think for his height, I think that would be quite funny to see him do. If you remember the Bruce Grobbelaar when he used to be in goal, the way he used to do his knobbly knees. I think that would be quite funny to see Corey pull that off. But look, should we be surprised he won a League Two playoff final at Wembley for Crawley, doing penalty saves? I'm not surprised, to be honest. Like you say, that's why he's been brought into the club. We're now seeing what everybody else, Simon Wilson and Dave Challoner, saw into him and brought him into the club. And he's getting more confidence. His voice is getting louder and more confident. And it's his shirt to lose.
And am I right in saying he's got 100% save record this season?
What, on penalties?
Yeah.
Yes, I would have thought so, because obviously the Wrexham one he saved, it was the follow-up that got knocked in. So you might actually be right on that.
Come on, Dan, get your spreadsheet out, pal.
I haven't got that.
I'm slacking.
I've not gone in this season into players. I'm now looking at FOTMob.
Okay. Well, you need to have another line in your stats for next season, Dan. Penalty save.
No, he saved 2 out of 5. Actually, I can remember. Actually, he didn't save the one at Crawley early in the season. So he saved 2 out of 5 penalties so far this season. He's had 9 clean sheets, conceded 28 goals, played 29 matches. So but like you say, his form, it's a bit of a will. I said I put a little chart up on the Facebook page about our season so far. This obviously the domestic season, and each month, and it's amazing that our form since January, when Lewis Barry disappeared and everyone told us our season's over, and you look at from January, our form, and it's just amazing.
We've all stepped up.
Yeah, but he is still the leading goal scorer by some way in the club, which is quite funny.
Bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. Just on Corey's sort of penalty saving technique, I guess if you do start behind the line and you can spring forward, the idea behind that is that you're cutting off the further forward that you can be when you sort of come into contact with the ball, you're cutting the angle down, aren't you? Rather than going across your goal line. When the goal is quite a bit bigger, you can spring forward and you can meet that ball a meter in front of the goal line. Then the angles are in your favour, aren't they? I know you're a bit of a goalkeeper, aren't you, Dave?
Yeah, was.
Yeah.
Well, good me, I was.
Yeah.
You ask Kelly. You ask Kelly, it's always shite.
Okay. Well, that's because sons are meant to say that their dads are shit at stuff, aren't they? So definitely. I believe you're a good goalkeeper.
I was.
So just looking at FOTMob, he's made 58 saves, which I assume these are league information. 58 saves, Corey, with a save percentage of 67.4%. Goals prevented is minus 1.19. And like you say, I think he's been better as the season's got on for sure. And like you say, there's no reason why he can't be county number one for in the championship.
Do we think he's getting the number 1 shirt next season? Like the official number 1 shirt next season? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think Ben will still do bits, and he might end up giving him sort of a few cup matches or whatever, or the the Johnson's Paint Trophy or whatever it is now. Might give Ben them, but the thing is you don't change your keeper, so it's one of them unless there's an injury, and this is what's made him get his place back, and it's his to lose now, and if he performs, then he won't lose his shirt. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
Do you know what? I think Corey's, when you speak to him, he's a really nice chap. I think he wouldn't want the actual number 1 shirt. I think he's too much respect for Ben. As we know that he gets on really, really well with Ben. And to be absolutely honest, obviously Pinatar in the summer, he was rooming with Ben. And as everybody tells you, if you room with Ben, you want to kill him because apparently he's the loudest snorer in the squad. And they normally put him on when they go on away trips, they usually put him on a room on himself because he drives everybody up the wall. So if he's managed to stick out Pinatar for a week with rooming with Ben, then obviously he's got the patience of a saint. And I just think actually Corey might just turn around and say, no, I don't want the number 1 shirt. He's a legend at the club. He deserves to have that for being a legend at the club while he's here. And like you say, we've got 2 number 1s and they'll fight it out. And when opportunities come arise, it's down to them to take them.
Do you think, though, that with Ben having 1 year left in his contract, it's a little bit different? So obviously you're then really looking forward to, I mean, like, what's the point in giving Ben in the twilight of his career the odd Johnson's Paint Trophy game, and you're almost thinking, well, if the club are backing Andrew Wogan and he looks a really good, obviously from a stature point of view, he's nowhere near what Adai is, but he is. I mean, his reflexes are unbelievable when you watch him in the warm-ups. He's very, very, very good. Obviously, Republic of Ireland under 21 international as well. You got to start giving him those sort of games, unless you think, no, we're going to send him out on loan.
It's all about Ben. What does Ben want to do? Does he feel that he can still play first team football at a club, League Two, National League level, or is he happy just being a part of Stockport County? Because let's be absolutely honest, he's got a job at Stockport County for the rest of his life, regardless if that's working in the ticket office, coaching, whatever he wants to do. Even if he wants to dress up as Vernon Bear on a match day, he's got a job for life. And it's just down to Ben, if he feels that he still has something to offer, if he wants to put his boots up and retire or semi-retire, that's up to him,
I don't think he'll go into coaching, Dan. I spoke to him at Pinatar and he didn't have any interest in doing coaching when I spoke to him.
Yeah.
So I think this whole thing of, oh yeah, Ben will be a goalkeeper coach, and I mean, obviously, if we chuck a load of money at him, he may think, yeah, that's fine. But I don't think that is a done deal. Can we just box off that first half? And Dave, you were there. What did you think of that Man United fan? On about 20 minutes, he sort of waltzed in with his 2 mates, and Des Hinks, bless him, confronted him a little bit.
I didn't even really see him at first, and then like you're more focused on what's going on the pitch, like looking at that way, and then you sort of heard a bit of a commotion, and you sort of looked down, and then it was a case of, oh no, how misguided are you, young man?
Didn't you see the blur? I saw just a blur of Des Hinks going down the steps after him, and I think lucky the steward was there because, like you say, I think if Des really got his hands on him, he wouldn't have. He wouldn't have had that shirt on for long on the back. He would have ripped that off him. Naive, should we say? Like you say,
misguided.
I think if it's a kid, then obviously they don't get the grief. But as a grown adult, don't walk in front of a whole stand of 1,500 county fans wearing a Man United top, pointing at the badge and as you're walking past, because you're rather brave or you're stupid, one of the two.
I think it was the second one, Dan, and I think he has been tracked down as being one of Corey Adai's friends. So I wouldn't be surprised, knowing what Adai's like, what people say about him, if Adai had said, "Oh yeah, wear your United top, it'll be fine, it'll be fine." Like Adai got a little bit of a smile to himself. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. Cool. Anyway, okay, let's move into the good stuff in that second half. So on 61 minutes, David had enough basically, and he brought on Benno for Tanto and Bailey for Moxon. Now Benno's going to get the kudos, and we can talk about his goal because it was fucking amazing. But I was impressed with Bailey. The games that he's come on as sub, I think we started him in one game a few games ago, and he had an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
But the game where we have brought him on as sub, he's been tidy. He's not lost the ball. He's got a few assists or a couple of assists for us as well. And he penetrates down that left-hand side, which Moxon just doesn't do. Moxon is very much that holding midfielder, isn't he? A la Norwood, really, without the passing range. So I was really pleased for Bailey. But Steve, you watched it on TV. Take us through Benno's goal, and then we'll say what we thought about it in the ground.
Well, I mean, the first thing for me is, and you touched on the first half in Torre, his crossing is not the best, and I was thinking about this, and I think the big difference between Torre and Rydell is, I think Torre plays the percentages. I think he puts the ball into a dangerous area. I think that's his intention. But the big difference between him and Rydell is Rydell picks the player, and it was a lovely ball. I think with his right foot, straight into Benno. I think he chested it down with his sort of side onto goal, and he just levered it in the net. There was no stopping it. But that guy, he's some talent. He's a pure goal scorer. Everything I've seen of him so far, he just excites me. It was amazing. So I loved it, but I wasn't in the ground. I mean, you guys, you saw it firsthand.
Big future out of him.
Yeah,
big future.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one as well, because it was a short free kick that was taken, and it sort of like seemed to sort of 2 or 3 passes before actually Rydell whipped it into the box, and it's like, oh, for God's sake, just do something with the ball. And like you say, how it's got to him unmarked is literally beyond me. He's, like I say, I think he sort of hit his chest just out in front of him, and then he's just swung that foot. And like
I
you say,
think
the
their
goalkeeper
defender misjudged it as he jumped up to get it. It sort of just he got underneath it, and it just dropped over his head straight onto Benno's chest.
He finds space though, doesn't he? I've seen it in every game he plays. He just suddenly finds space, and you think, how the hell have you managed to get yourself in that position? And he just keeps doing it.
And I tell you what, if that had been any other striker in our squad, they'd have tried to hit that first time, and that is a much lower chance shot if you try and volley that first time. Whereas he had that split second to think, I've got a bit of space in front of me, I'll chest it in front of me. No one around him after he'd done that. He created that space for him, hadn't he? To then just whip his left foot through it. And I mean, it went straight at the keeper, but I mean, it would have taken the keeper into the goal if it actually hit the keeper straight over his head. What scenes there were with that. I mean, we love him to bits, and it gives us a chance to do an Icelandic thunderclap as well. So Kate Challoner, if you're listening, I know you listen sometimes when we win, keep on doing those recordings. But if you can send them direct to me, I can put them on the Courtyard Club Call, because I'm too tight to pay for an X premium subscription thing. So if you somehow get them to Russ or something, we'll put them as like the start of the Courtyard Club Call, because I love that Icelandic thunderclap. It's fucking top. Just before we go on, I just want to say one other thing. We set ourselves up in the center of the goal, like midway up, center of the goal, near you, Dan, actually.
Yeah.
And the drum eventually sort of decided where they were going to sit. With a row behind us, straight behind our seats. I apologise. We ended up moving just a little bit across to the left. I'd have ended up with a fucking migraine if I'd had that drum right next to me. But you do a great job anyway with the drum. It's Russ's cousin's son, I think.
It's Mark Love's lad, Dan.
Mark loves it. Yeah, do a great job and leading that Icelandic thunderclap as well. Kudos, mate. Keep it up.
Yeah, and it was like say that stand was a little low roof on that stand, didn't it? It sort of made it sort of echo and reverb, and it just made it sound brilliant, to be honest. That created the atmosphere, that drum, for the whole stadium, because like you say, we were getting nothing from Wycombe.
No, exactly. And then 7 minutes later, Dave, do you think it was a penalty? Oh no,
I've watched it back,
Well, okay. Sorry, I'll just interrupt you. So 7 minutes
yeah.
later, we had a penalty appeal waved away. So pushing the back on Benno from their defender. I don't know if you remember that, or Steve, maybe if you saw it on TV. Was it a penalty?
I can't remember that.
I think it was both were soft. The Benno's one and obviously Norwood's one. I thought both were very, very soft penalties given. And in fairness, the same again. I even thought, like I say, the Wycombe penalty was soft, but the referee sort of had he was a bit like that. He sort of give fouls where for little things off the ball, where the ball was nowhere near it. You know, the ball's going in one direction, and then he's given a free kick in 20 yards away from where the ball was going because he saw something off the ball. And yeah, I thought all penalty claims were soft, to be honest.
Well, Norwood steps up, doesn't he, Dave? And he does what he does. I'm sure he's got 100% record for us this season. Quality striker of the ball. Keeper goes the right way, but in the corner.
Not getting that side netting job. Cracking finish.
Not even prime Dave Whitehead is getting that penalty.
No, definitely not. No,
And
even when I was 10 stone lighter.
Say Norwood loves it, doesn't he? The passion, absolutely loves it. It's a penalty, and he created that penalty as well. His movement, I think, was it a short corner? I think he moved into the box. I think Rydell put it into him, and the player got too close to him, and you can see why it was given. It might be a bit soft, but he created that penalty, and then he scored it. And the passion after scoring it, he's a proper player, isn't he?
It was a good move as well, yeah. To get him into that position, it was a great little sort of set piece, and then one from the training ground, as they say.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he felt the guy breathe on him, he was going down, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, like I say, that was Norwood's second penalty of the season. Obviously, Louis Barry was taking them all pre-January. I think Will Collar took one after Barry left. Obviously, the first one was sort of right of centre, and obviously this one, looking at the goals, gone into the left bottom corner. And what can you say? Man for the job, didn't look bothered, didn't look nervous, just absolutely all the fans are singing his name before he's even struck the ball, and he just smiled and stroked it into the back of the net.
Been there, done it, and he had all the pressure before, knows what's coming. You wouldn't want anyone else on that.
Yeah,
no, not at all. And then to rub salt into Wycombe's wounds, 5 minutes later, who's going to talk about the Will Collar stunner? Because that was a beautiful finish.
William Guy Collar.
It's weird because he's in the first half. Norwood's hit one from about 30 yards that's managed to ping the top of the stand and go over into the trees. And I think to myself, why are you hitting him with so much force? He's got so much quality. Why are you not placing him and passing him into the back of the net? And that's what Will Collar did. He just passed it into the back of the net. Quality. Didn't rush it, didn't overplay it, didn't overstrike it, didn't try and hit it as hard as he can. He just passed it into the back of the net.
And it was lovely awareness, Steve, wasn't it, from Bailey, who just sort of like ran over it, flicked it ever so slightly.
There was a tiny touch, wasn't there? There was a tiny touch, and it was just a beautiful finish. It really was.
Yeah,
loved it.
Yeah, and there was no coming back from that at all. So 10 minutes of injury time. There was a bit of a collision between one of their players. I think he went off with a broken arm or something.
Oh,
and then
he looked awful on the TV.
No, was that not the one that was down for ages? I think
he's
done his cruise ship.
No, there's one.
Or am I thinking of a different one?
I think you're thinking of a different one. There's a lad that I think he came on for that lad.
Yeah.
And literally only been on the pitch for about a minute, and then like you say, he's broke his arm.
Oh Jesus!
He was getting
from our point of view. Yeah, from our point of view, Hills obviously got twatted by him, sort of in that incident, and he was holding his shoulder out. I was wondering whether he'd maybe popped his shoulder out or anything, but he.
Oh,
Not heard
mate,
anything.
he's that hard. He'll just whack it back in, no problem. Put a bit of a plaster on it. Be right, him.
So
Don't worry about
it was Sam Vokes that broke his arm. I'm sure it's the same Sam Vokes that scored against us before somewhere. Was it Swindon or Bristol or something like that? That he was a pain in our side. But yeah, it was it was Sam Vokes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So 10 minutes injury time. Not a lot more happened. I don't think we were happy with 3-1. They couldn't be asked, to be fair. And as I say, if I was a Wycombe fan, I would be concerned going into those Charlton games. So yeah, we talk about man of the match. Who would you give it to, Dave?
I like to give somebody man of the match who's usually played the full match, rather than like someone that's come on. Unless somebody like Fevs the other week when he came on and just, like, had 1 goal and 2 assists, and he played out of his bloody skin. But for me, goalkeepers union, Corey made some good saves, penalty saves, did all right. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'd say Corey.
Yeah, he did make some good saves during the game as well. I can't remember all of them, but there were 2 or 3 where he stood up. I think disappointingly in that game, we're seeing some weaknesses coming into maybe Pye's game. I think he seems to get run off sort of relatively easily, and it happened again in that game. Unfortunately, Corey sort of stood up and made a save. Leyton Orient are a team with a bit of pace up front, and I think they will end up targeting that left-hand side again, whether it's Rydell, whether it's Toure. But we'll have to see. I don't want to be put a downer on things because we've just finished third in League One, which is brilliant. But yeah, I'm slightly concerned about that form. I don't know what you think, whether I'm being harsh, Steve.
I think our form's awesome, so I'm not worried. It's like we're the team to beat. We're the team to beat, and you go into these playoffs, anything can happen. We've been there many times, and you don't know which way it's going to go. But I don't fear any single team, and with the players we've got coming back, I don't know who's going to be coming back. We all spoke to them. They said they're all coming back, but in reality, they're not all going to be coming back. But some of them will be coming back. I wouldn't be surprised if you put Bate or Camps into that team, just one of them as an addition, and maybe Moxham drops back to the bench. Then that's just going to take us to another level. We're beating teams and we're missing some of our best players. So get some of them back, and who knows what's going to happen, but we can do it, definitely.
Dan, do you think the fact that none of those players got a place on the bench in that Wycombe game is a bit of a guide as to how close they are to coming back? Because I wouldn't want to be shoving Bate or Camps in from the start in a playoff game.
And like I say, when you look at the Tuesday night game, they had a Middlesbrough where players like Jay Mingy played, I think, 90 minutes. He wasn't on the bench either.
He's broken his finger, like he had this cast on his hand after the game. We stayed around to watch.
He's not a keeper, Jimmy. Finger? What do you need that for? He's got 10 of the bloody things.
Okay. Good point, Dave. I don't know whether you can play with broken fingers, but fine. That's
of course you can, man.
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie's in. Good.
Yeah, like you say, you're fighting for your spot. I don't think Dave would put him in the starting 11, but like you say, that bench, getting on that bench is a very, very competitive thing. To get on that bench, and like you say, who do you miss off? Because like you say, when you've got players like Niall on the bench, Rydell on the bench, Bailey's shown his worth for me in the last few substitute appearances. You're not going to drop Anderson off. And like you say, Horsfall was on the bench as well. Even he can't get in the starting 11 at the moment. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really competitive squad, and you've got to show up for it, because like you say, there's no guarantees. No one's got a divine right to be on that. 6 weeks ago, you'd have said Collar was probably a player out of form and maybe risking losing his starting 11.
Yeah.
At the moment, you'd say he's not. You wouldn't drop him at the moment.
Nope. 2 goals in 2.
Yeah, I think Collar's return to form it must be a real bonus for Dave. So yeah, games confirmed. So Leyton Orient away Saturday the 10th of May. That's a 12:30 kickoff. So that's going to be
Ooh.
an early start in it. If you're
Yeah,
on the
and
coaches.
be fans be warned that the Leyton station, underground station, is closed, I believe, that weekend. When I've looked at train tickets already, I can't get the underground from Streatham over there to Leyton, unfortunately.
That's a good bit of well, not a good bit of news, but it's a good bit of advice if people were expecting to do that. Yeah, so I mean, we've got 1,250 tickets, I think, for that game going on sale on. I'm right in saying it's Tuesday, isn't it?
Tuesday morning. Well, Tuesday lunchtime, isn't it? Yeah. I'm a little bit miffed as to why they've changed the 15 and 10 aways. Because
I think you'll be fine with 10. I know you've been to more, haven't you, Dave? But I think even
like
at the 10, I think
16.
I think it's the time that they've got to shift these tickets and sort of give. If you go 15, then 10, then 5, and then
Well,
open
just
to everybody.
give hours rather than days. Just say, right, well, this is it. You know,
Yeah.
15 aways for 2 hours, 10
Yeah.
aways for 2 hours. You could still get them
And
all done in
And
2
what's
days.
very frustrating is that they haven't arranged with Leyton Orient that tickets can be collected on the match day at Leyton Orient. So if you're an exile van that needs your tickets posted, you've got to pay £8.50 for special
Saw that,
delivery,
yeah.
which I think is a bit bad. Why can't we just have something arranged with Leyton Orient that we can go and county fans can go and collect their tickets from Leyton Orient on the morning of the game as it's short notice?
Maybe they're just not set up. Like if 800 fans all wanted to pick their tickets up, that's going to take hours.
There'll probably going to be a few where, can anybody pick my ticket up from the stadium for me and bring it down, and I'll meet you at the ground.
Yeah.
Be a few of them on Facebook, won't there?
I think the bonkers thing is that they can't do electronic tickets in this day and age. I mean, but that should surely be
a physical ticket for an away game, isn't it? It's just mad.
Yeah, it's bonkers. So that's the state of play there, and then obviously we've got the home game on Wednesday, the 14th of May. That's an 8:00 kickoff. So, a couple of things that I've sort of seen on social media: 87 points is a new club record for the 3rd tier for us. So well done to Charlie and the coaching side and the team for that. And yeah, I can confirm that not one team did the double over us. So that really good run of form at the end of the season meant that we weren't done by that. So fantastic effort by the team. And whatever happens now in the playoffs, we've had an absolutely brilliant season, haven't we, Steve? And one that we'll remember for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we always want us to win. We want to go to Wembley. We want to get promoted. But whatever happens this season, every single Stockport fan should be proud of that team. 87 points is some feat, really. It's just tremendous. So, yeah, let's hope we can win 2 or 3 more games and do it. But whatever happens, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, and Dan, I think you said at the start of the season that you thought 88 would do it. I think you said so.
I thought to get in the playoffs, I think I had 80 points you would need to get in the playoffs. I think obviously Leyton Orient have snuck in there with 77, I think it was. That's in now. I thought we'd need 90 points to get promotion, at least. And like I say, Wrexham have done it with 92. It's been a competitive division, even with Birmingham running off and making a record points. It's still, I think, it's been really, really competitive. And like you say, 87 points in a county season is not just good. It's bloody fantastic. There aren't many seasons where county get 87 points, regardless what division we're in. So yeah, it's a fantastic haul. Yeah, and like I say, when you look at teams that are below us, like your Bolton Wanderers, your Blackpools, your Huddersfields, all these teams that have played Premier League football, in the same period of time we were playing National League North football. It's brilliant. I've noticed as well that they've moved the other game, haven't they? Charlton and Wycombe. They've moved it to a Sunday where it was meant to be a Saturday afternoon. They've moved that to a Sunday game now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've moved that to a Sunday, I believe. I don't know why, but
Train station shut down there, mate.
It probably is. But out of the other, who do you fancy at Wembley out of Charlton and Wycombe then?
Well, if it's a question after just playing Wycombe and in the form that they're in, you'd pick them, wouldn't you? But I don't think we've got anything to fear over anybody. Over 2 legs, I think we're good enough to beat any team. And in a one-off game, it's jeopardy, innit? Let's be honest. It's just one of them things. On any given day, any team can win. It's 11v11. All cliches and all that. But I'd still like to think we've got enough in our locker to succeed.
Yeah, I've said, I'll keep on saying it. Nick Powell comes on as a sub to score the winner at Wembley. But it wouldn't surprise me. This is how daft it is with our team. Wouldn't surprise me if Toure scores a 30-yard wonder goal.
Get it on request a bet, Dan. Get it on request a bet, man.
He's not scored all season. You know what I mean? He hasn't shown that attacking threat that we know he's got. And he ends up picking the ball at the halfway line, running up to, like say, 25 yards out and absolutely putting his left foot through it into the top corner.
It'll probably be a miss-hit cross, mate.
But that's what Wembley's about, isn't it? These games, it's about somebody, like Dave Challen has mentioned in his post-match, that a time for a hero to step forward and, and take it. And, that wouldn't surprise me because this team is full of players like that can step up and take. Anderson as well, probably the first time he'll play at Wembley. These stories there to be written for that whole team. Some players, it might be their last game in a county shirt because they're out of contract. Players like Horsfall, they go and score the winning goal or something like that. It's the story's there for them to be written, and it's it just wouldn't surprise me if it's written.
Norwood will have a field day with all the space on there as well.
That's what I think too.
His passing will just be unbelievable, But got to get there first.
Yeah,
we do. And
we're gonna.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers, guys. Well, I've really enjoyed this one. Thanks for joining us, Steve and Dave, and obviously Dan as well, as always. So we'll be recording another one after the first leg of Leyton Orient. So we'll record that on Sunday the 11th, and we'll put it out for Monday the 12th. So cheers, guys. Looking forward to this playoff campaign.
See you later.
Cheers, guys.
Pleasure. Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bergara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring you content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bergara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bergara War. Come on, County!